years ago, shortly after I'd bought my present car, which was all shiny and lovely, and I loved it, and I kept polishing it, which I don't do anymore, my mate bought a car, and I ran her to pick this car up, and it was dark, it was winter, so it was dark nights, and I was coming home in the darker nights. She picked the car up, she went back home, and I followed her, but we got separated. And during this drive back, I hit the most enormous pothole in the known universe. It frightened the life out of me. The whole car went bang. It must have been, it probably wasn't that deep, it probably was about 6 inches deep, something like that. I thought it had smashed the suspension. It didn't, as luck would have it, but it completely ruined one of my tyres. So I then came to a grinding halt in the dark, in the middle of nowhere, with no lights, and I was there, got the RAC out there, came. 6, 7, 8 hours later, I managed to get home in the early hours of the morning, and it cost me a lot of money because I had to get a bloke out, mobile tyre place. He came from miles away because it was one of the ones that the RAC said he had to use, and it was really annoying and really inconvenient and really shook me up at the time. But that's nothing. There's potholes all over the country. The state of our roads, it's just getting worse and worse every year. Do you know that the government has a budget from between 2000 and 2025? They were going to spend £5 billion on road maintenance. Now that doesn't, road maintenance, that covers all sorts of things, not just potholes. But every year they backfill, or they fill in, about 1 million potholes. But they're just growing and growing. For every mile of road in England, there are on average 6 dangerously deep potholes. Between 2018 and 2022, there were 451 serious accidents in England. Not in England or Wales and Scotland, but in England. And 18 of those resulted in fatalities. But why us? Why are our roads in such a bad condition? So part of it you can put down to the weather. We've got this, especially in winter, we've got wet and it freezes and it thaws and it freezes and it thaws, and water gets underneath the road, and then the traffic goes over it, and blah 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 blah. It's pretty much unavoidable. It's getting better as new technology, new road surfaces are developed, but local councils seem to find something better to spend the money on, like they always do. Obviously it's worse in cities because of the volume of traffic, heavy vehicles and things like that. And then the flip side of that is that more money is spent on road infrastructure in the cities and built-up areas than it is in the country. So then the countryside, they suffer. I live in a small town right on the edge of the countryside. I drive out of the town and the roads aren't that bad where I am. There are a couple of, but I think that's only because you get used to it and you actually avoid the potholes, don't you? You know where they are and you avoid them. But as you get out into the countryside, it's getting to the point now where it's almost a single track road, because the edge of the road is eroded away and it's breaking up and encroaching on the carriageway, and then the edge of the road there, because it's out in the country, it's just grass and it's boggy. I mean, you're forever seeing cars being pulled out of the grass at the side of the road because they've had to avoid a vehicle coming in the opposite direction. Cyclists, I mean, it must be an absolute nightmare for cyclists going along hitting a pothole. What do? You've no protection at all. That's you down and out. But I think it's getting to the point now where it's kind of beyond. There isn't the money, there isn't the manpower, there isn't the infrastructure to actually put it right. So it's just going to slowly get better. Really, the backfilling potholes isn't the solution, because they just erode again. On the interface between the old tarmac and the new repaired tarmac, you're always going to get this weak point, so it's just going to break up again. The only solution is to scarify the roads and relay them. That ain't going to happen. So I'm afraid British motorists, it looks like this is a problem we're going to just have to live with, and it's not funny. I mean, I'm going to my mother's this afternoon, and I go over a hill to get there, and it's quite a quick road. You know, you're tempted to go a bit quick. It's empty, it's windy, it's a bit of a fun drive. But I know now where the potholes are, because if I hit those potholes, I'm off the road, because they are so big and so dangerous, and I know where they are, so I'm swerving round them. But as I swerve round them, if there's a car coming round a blind bend in the opposite direction and he's swerving around a pothole, then that's us done. It's like good night Vienna, isn't it? So I don't know whether we're ever going to get a solution to this. The RAC put in a freedom of information request to 185 local councils for them to give them their figures for claims for damage due to potholes. I think 81 replied out of 185, and that's where the RAC kind of extrapolated their figures from. So it could, and that was just England, and they were saying like that something like 500,000 claims over a couple of years. 500,000 claims. That's unsustainable. You know, it's like this cycle, isn't it? You've got the road, then they can't afford to do the roads up, then compensation is going to be coming out of the council coffers. That's going to hit back. Does that mean council tax is going to go up to recoup some of that money? And it's this cycle. And I think the whole country, in most countries, and not just in roads, but on finances in general, this is how we are now. We're in this loop, this spiral, this maelstrom going down, and we don't know where it's going to end. And electric vehicles aren't the solution, because electric vehicles weigh a lot more, and it is well accepted that electric vehicles are going to cause more road damage than petrol and diesel vehicles. So it's going to get worse to get to this climate change, this net zero. We're going to end up damaging the roads, costing us more, getting more claims, our council tax going up. This country's in a right pig hole, isn't it? But that's all right, because I've seen people putting the Christmas lights out. I walked in Molly last night, and all the house was lit up with Christmas lights. It's the 22nd November, so that's more than a month ahead. Good for them anyway, if it makes you feel better. I remember after the pandemic, people were putting the lights up really early, and I think it was just because everybody needed something to feel good about and to celebrate. So good for you. You put your Christmas lights up, put them up as soon as you can. I've just come out down the road there, all the council lads have been up, and so the road lights are all adorned with Christmas decorations. If that's what floats your boat, do it, by all means. It's very cold this morning and wet and autumnal. It's kind of not autumnal anymore, is it? Very quickly you go from autumnal to winter. It feels like winter's encroaching, winter's coming in. All I can hear now is rain. I'm under some trees, so it's just dripping off the trees, so all you can hear is this pitter-patter sound of water. A few leaves that are left are all very light green and brown. The reservoir behind me is full. Today it's very still. The other day it was crashing about when we had, I can't remember his name now. Was it Debbie or somebody like that? But it's not, it's quiet today, and it's still. Still waters run deep. Don't go swimming in reservoirs. It's not a good idea. Oh, I can hear somebody. Thought we had the place to ourselves. We're going to carry on. I just thought I'd have that little moan about the roads. I know I've been a victim, and a lot of people out there will be victims. and it's costing a fortune. It's costing the country a fortune, and there are more potholes than you could possibly imagine, and more getting there all the time and widening and getting worse. But I suppose that's nothing compared to what else is going on in the world, is it? Anyway, I hope it's dry where you are. Drive safe, don't drive down any potholes, don't wreck your suspension, and have a good day, a good the rest of the week, and a good weekend. We shall see you on the flip. Peace and love.